Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Alexanne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes, to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now, and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together. Merry Christmas, wherever you are in the world. It's the 25th of December in the Western world. I know there's Boxing Day and Three Kings Day and all these beautiful celebrations around the end of the year and the beginning of the new year. And Alex and I are super excited and honored to be here with you today. If you're listening to us, we have an intention to bring you real value, powerful value. Alex, dive in. What were you just sharing?
Well, we're talking a lot about creating connection today. And in some ways, I know it is Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. And though we have this live on Christmas Day, I actually kind of hope that you're listening to this maybe tomorrow, so that today on Christmas you are spending the time with your loved ones, like creating that connection, whether it be in-person connection, whether it be a virtual connection if your loved ones are, not close by. Even if you're able to go outside and maybe smile to somebody that you may encounter on the street, just to create some way of connection at this time of year. I think there's a lot of people that sometimes experience a bit of sadness around this time of year. It can become a very emotional time of year. And so we want to really lean into creating yourself some ways to feel some love and connection and that presence,
Very
with those
much.
people, right? It's not presence, right? But the presence of the people that you do have in your life.
Well, the present is a present.
Yeah.
It's a present to ourselves, right? And the theme of connection we can carry throughout the year. And I think it's really important to lean into it, because the messages I hear, we get caught up in the hustle. And it's great to take action. It's great to do things. That's an important thing, but it depends on, where it comes from, as we've talked about. If you're putting the action, the doing first versus the being, so it doesn't flow. Right. And the action's meant to flow. It's not meant to be, I've got to do. That's heavy energy, and it leads to burnout, and it leads to overwhelm. But rewinding, getting back to your internal approval of yourself, actually is so counterintuitive, but that brings connection because it brings energy, right? When you have that love of yourself, then you bring that forward to be able to love others in ways maybe that you've never experienced before. I've seen all kinds of breakthroughs around this. And, Alex, you and I were talking about the energy. Just came from an amazing event, and the energy in the room was so powerful. So we're wanting you to experience that kind of connection, that kind of support and love and care and community that is validating who you are, doing that internal work, and you already know who you are, and it's bringing more of it, and it's expanding it, and then it multiplies out to other people, and the world needs it right now. You matter. There's a lot of people who are choosing to leave this life, make very permanent decisions in temporary circumstances. That happened with my baby brother this year, which I talked about in another episode. And so I think the message that you matter, you're
Mhm.
worthy, you're valuable, you deserve it, you're a masterpiece, you're a treasure. Just listen to this on repeat. Keep feeling your ears and your heart and your soul with this. Because then, that energy that you receive when you recognize how incredible you are, you can, just sit in that, and that it just flows out, right? I actually had somebody get triggered by the message that you matter. There are
Mhm.
certain things that will trigger us. And a lot of that can come from the pressure we put on ourselves. "Ah, I got
Mhm.
to get it right. Ah, I got to do this now to be able to connect on Christmas." This is not where we're coming from at all. It's something where it's just some tips and tools that can put you in flow for the love that you deserve, for the connection that you deserve. And it's this beautiful reciprocal effect. So it goes in and out, right?
Well, and
Um,
I think what happens at this time of year as well, we see all the Hallmark Christmas movies, and we're on the social media, and we see what other people are doing, and I will admit, like being here in Panama, we're a little bit more isolated. I mean,
yeah,
I put out a message to my community this morning saying, does anyone have some Christmas decorations I could borrow? So we could have, something in the background
I like
for
your Christmas
those days.
decorations. They look great. Yeah,
It just even like that feel that that need of like needed to put all this together, or that
yeah,
those external pressures, whereas I consciously made the decision that this year we're going to do all decorations, as a family. We're going to create this one-on-one time together. It's my way of having fun, ways to count down to Christmas with the kids, and just getting arts and crafty, and spending that one-on-one quality time with them, with like, because they're so young. I remember seeing a post, and it was like shocking to realize like how many years we really have with especially young children, because they before long they become teenagers, they become young adults, and those, when you see things that like that, it becomes this reality of like,
yeah,
these little moments. If you have young children, like it's so precious, and we
yeah.
want to be able to really maximize on that time. And so, as Carol's really leaning into like, you matter, the
Mm,
people around you matter too. And so how do we also create a ripple effect of creating that connection with those around us, so they also hear that same message, so they're
yeah,
growing up with that, so they already know innately that they matter. I think with the work that Carol and I do, we do so much of this reverse engineering, because
yeah,
allowing so much of what society is saying and all of this external validation of, and we need to prove our worthiness and
yeah.
prove our value,
Got to
and
finish the end of the year strong. Got to, complete the fourth quarter with gusto. Yes, those are important, but yeah,
we can take this time, we can gift this self, we can give ourselves permission to dream. I was delivering a workshop last weekend, and again, this energy, and I remember saying,
yeah,
give yourself permission to just ask yourself, what do you want?
yeah.
And not materialistically, but really
What do
like,
you
how,
want to bring in? Yeah,
and how do you want to feel? And so I think that's what we also want to really lean into. We think about this time of year, this magical day, this magical time, children are off school, it's holidays, right? Routine and schedule is probably a little bit interrupted. It looks a little bit different. And so how do you really lean into making the most out of this and creating this connection, this
yeah,
love, this presence, you
yeah,
know, with those people that are around you. And again, if you find yourself in a situation where you don't have people that are close by, how do you create that, right? Like 100% is possible 100% of the time. So leaning into maybe picking up the phone. Yes, picking up the phone and calling somebody maybe you haven't spoke to in a long time, and wishing them, a Merry Christmas, or sending maybe a message to somebody,
mm,
or You know, I love this with my daughter is so into making cards for people. She's already started to make cards for everybody for Christmas. Maybe you make a personal card and deliver it to a neighbor, right? Like I love when we think about this time of year of also paying things forward and how do we open up a door of conversation and create connection in
Yeah.
also maybe an in a
You
different
can
way,
you
you
can
know?
actually, go through your social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you like to play, LinkedIn, and just go down your DM list and send out, hey, happy holidays. I'm thinking of you. Something really simple. And then you will receive messages back. We like to get in our heads and convince ourselves that we're isolated or that we have to be isolated or
Mm,
that nobody understands. Those are all illusions. They're all illusions. So sometimes you may be feeling tired this season and like you don't have the energy to reach out to people. Just set the intention. Just, we call it DIA, decide in advance, that you're going to have some amazing connections and just put it out there in the universe. Um, don't leave yourself sitting still and isolated. You do not have to do that. Connections are powerful, they're energy. And it's so important that, we remind ourselves of what is true versus what is an illusion. We are continually bringing to us, through our ability to create things, our reality.
mhm,
And it's so important to remember that when your reality is not what you're wanting to experience, that you have amazing power. And I have to remind myself of this regularly when I'm hit with the little pings and the little things. I was having some health breakdowns that were hitting me really hard, and they felt out of my control. Like they
mhm,
weren't things that it was like a broken this and a missing that, that were causing some of these difficulties. And being able just to sit down and remind myself, no, this is not the energy I'm going to participate with. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. I deserve energy and good health. You deserve friends. You deserve connection. You deserve community. We're here for you. We have communities we'd be happy to have you in. And in fact, I'll bring up, I have a free book club, the Worthy Book Club. No cost, no contract, no obligation. You don't have to perform. If you haven't read the chapter in the book we're in, it is no big deal. This is a community for female leaders like us here, to pour into ourselves and to fill up our cups because we're often giving out without receiving back. And so it's really important whenever you hear this that you know it. Alex, something else that's really coming to me, I've been thinking about this, when we're with family, maybe they don't know exactly what we do or how we do it. Um, they're not in our social media, they're just like, oh, it's my niece, my little niece, or oh, it's my auntie. One of the things that you can do when you're with people is to ask beautiful questions.
mhm,
So you can literally say, to Uncle Papa over there, um, where have you felt like you've been most resilient in your life?
mhm,
And invite him or her to share
mhm,
and listen.
mhm,
And it just breaks the ice, it breaks things open, and some, depending on your family, might be like, I don't know. But you could be like, no, really, I'd really like to know, is there a place in your life where you've been most resilient? It's a pattern interrupt, it's a mental shift, and it brings instant connection. because we all want to be valued and heard. We want to be seen and heard. And it opens up those you're with to use their voices. And then what happens is they're more willing to listen to you when you are wanting to use your voice. This is with good boundaries and safe environments and everything. I had a woman just tell me that, her childhood Christmas were avoiding her mother throwing plates. So, uh, we're talking about healthy situations here because we do all go through things. We're talking about safe environments. Can you go to your local library? Do they have a group, maybe a gentle yoga class at your local Y? Maybe a, participation in a women's group, a Bible study, things that would be meaningful to you and your heart that can help you not be isolated, but be in community, in connection.
One of the apps that I've always loved checking out, especially more moving around Canada. To be honest, I haven't looked at much here in Panama, was always the Meetup app. And that's ironically, that's actually how I ended up, meeting Andrew, but just being able to, see other groups with similar interests and things like that, that you might be able to meet people that are doing something that has a similar interest to you and it's again something that's very free and it's in person. I think being able to create in-person connection is really, really important. And just going back to what you said, Carol, there's two things that were coming to mind that I know for myself. I remind myself a lot because one, am someone that tends to maybe speak more than I ask questions. And so being reminded to ask 5 questions before saying anything, right? To really show that connection and that genuine connection. It's not just that surface level question. It's like asking more curious types of questions. So leaning into being curious. The
Yeah.
other the other one too is because of course sometimes when family gets together could be sometimes some heated discussions and things like that. Is just the reminder that everybody wants to feel seen and heard.
Yeah.
When we can lean into everybody wants to feel seen and heard and lean into that piece and being reminded and grounded by that, then I feel like we can detach ourselves. And that's what happens so much, our ego shows up to the party versus like, our heart.
Yeah.
And when we be, right, our heart, we can be connection, we can be curiosity with the people around us. I think it can open up so much interesting dialogue, especially depending on how big of gatherings that you are with, or even if it's in that more intimate setting, right? To create that greater connection with people in your lives, even if it's in those those social media messages as well, right? Just
Right.
that connection. And that's a big stand that we're saying is like, you are worthy, right? You matter, and you get to experience connection. And if you've got littles around you or grand littles, right? You also get to lead and be the example to support them in developing it and growing that as well. Because of course, I'm always a big stand for that, right? Like, how are we raising our next generation, right? How are we raising our next generation of leaders, and how do we get to be the leader to lead those examples when we have those littles in our lives, that we can set that example and lead the way, help them learn those ways of being as well.
I love that you mentioned leaders because really we are talking to you as leaders and we are leaders, right? Together on this journey. And that leadership makes a difference. Again,
Mhm.
you matter. It really changes things. It changes things on an energetic level that we can measure now scientifically, right? Neuroscience is the measurement and study of the nervous system. We're learning a lot in the quantum realm that we are actually connected. There's the mirror cells and the quantum entanglement. And you don't have to understand any of that, just if you're a science geek, like we are here, it's putting a measurement on the energy of connection and the energy of what you were just saying, Alex, of being seen and heard. If you're in a safe environment, I am a big one on you being okay with you and setting healthy boundaries for yourself. You get to do that. You get to guard and protect your energy while you're making wonderful, beautiful connections. And in that context, in that space, I invite you to go to the quietest person in the room. Not the one you have the most in common with. That one will happen. It's easier, right? And it's like, oh, the connection's more simple. But, feeling in a safe and strong place with yourself, go to the quietest one in the room. Maybe that's the quietest little, right? The quietest little one, and saying, asking some lovely questions like, where are you feeling strong today? Right? Um, what are you loving about being with your family or your relatives or your friends? Maybe like Friendsgiving, you're doing a friends holiday series, and um, leaning in and just asking those questions to the one that might not be as ready to be drawn out. And maybe that's you, right? Maybe you're the quiet one and you aren't the one getting to use your voice. Well, we invite you to take the courage to ask some beautiful questions and start to hear and start to see what unleashes in your own heart through this process, right?
When you're talking there, Carol, I got lit up because when I just think about when we can meet like a little one, right? Like if just think about my 2 year old or my 5 year old, when you get down to their level, you sit on the ground and you play with them, or you look at life through their eyes, you
Yeah,
know, like they bring such a joy and this playfulness and this joie de vivre and just this kind of thing. And so I guess it's like as a dish, like an added kind of invitation. Like if you do have the joy of having littles in your space over the holidays, like my invitation is to sit down and play with them,
yeah.
is to experience life through their eyes and play. You bring in the play that reduces the dopamine, the feel-good chemicals, oxytocin and
Criticism, yeah.
yeah, and just feel like talk about creating connection, right? Because that's where you're able to create connection with them is being able to meet them where they're at.
Mm,
And especially the littles, right, when you can meet them where they're at and start playing with them, that's when they start to open up. That's when they start to share stories and they start because now you've created that safe space for them versus
mhm.
being this big adult. They see like a different side and that creates safety for them in their brain and then they create that connection with you. So it's just
Yeah,
it's a beautiful time of year, and it's a time of year that is filled with so much mixed emotions,
yeah,
right? And stresses, and maybe a lot of uncertainties. I mean, we're heading into the end of the year. There's a lot. It's such a slew of emotion that goes on, and so
yeah,
the message that we just really want to leave with you today is like looking at how do you get to really create connection? How do you get to feel that love and connection and have your cup full during this holiday season, really reiterating that you do matter, you really, really do matter, and you are worthy. And
yeah,
how do you get to experience a really joyful time of year, even though perhaps it might not feel like that? We're hoping that we were able to provide with you with some ways that you can create a little bit more joy and connection and be able to step into that love and abundance and laughter and joy in this time of year.
I invite you to, contact Alex Leanne if you have a website you're in need of. They're specialists, they're custom designed, curated, and, she's working on some very special projects that will be something so supportive of you as you move forward with your motherhood or your grandmotherhood. And we're speaking here particularly to you, our high achievers, our audience of women. This applies to you if you're a gentleman listening to this. And We are excited to be here for you. I also have an exclusive private group where I take a stand for women walking into wealth at seven plus figures. We as women deserve a seat at the table. As we connect and bring this out to more women in the world, think about what the world would look like, right?
Mhm.
With more
Mhm.
women with a seat at the table. There would be, I love you guys. I love how you support us. But instead of the little boys pissing match at the top, there would be a lot more collaboration and connection. And, all are needed, all are equal. And it's just, I am here to take a stand for you as a woman being in the wealth so that, you can apply things towards your causes. Maybe it's ending homelessness. Maybe it's protecting the environment, whatever it happens to be for you, that you would have a seat at the table, you would have a place to play and distribute wealth. What would that look like for you? So I'm here for you. Just reach out to me.
So I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Well, we'll have our New Year episode, of course, coming. Feliz Navidad, Joyeux Noel, Happy Hanukkah, then Kwanzaa, all the holidays as well. I know Diwali was many months ago, but just, we're so grateful to each and every single one of you who listens to us and supports us. And we are sending you so much love and connection this on this beautiful Christmas day.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.